It was the perfect rags to riches story. A little boy with no money and entrepreneurial spirit that made it to be billionaire at 40 and owner of the Chrysler Building. A man that dominated real estate in Europe, probably the best industry when it comes to amassing lots of money and influence.
Ein Aufstieg im Fahrwasser der Reichen und Mächtigen. Größer, höher, teurer.
But capitalism isn't about rises only. It can take everything away from you in a second. And this downfall goes harder than ever. Rene Benko. The Benko principle has always been what every self-respecting MegaloMedia viewer subscribes to. Without scruples, without limits.
Ich war immer davon überzeugt, dass die Investments, die ich als Unternehmer tätige, grundsolide sind.
But like other biographies that start in Austria, this one too ends in a catastrophe.
Der Warenhauskonzern ist pleite. 4000 Beschäftigte verlieren ihren Job. Benko gilt ihnen als Hauptschuldiger an dem Desaster.
Rene Benko found a way to turn every project he touches into gold, but screwed up on the finish line. Rene Benko's story begins here. At a young age, he's born the son of a municipal employee and a kindergarten teacher. At the age of 17, he's introduced to the real estate industry for the first time through a friend's company. As with many megalomaniacs, he is simply more interested in making money than going to school. In the end, he even leaves school because of too many absences and is not admitted to the final exams. For a while, Benko learns the art of selling at the German financial services provider AWD, which is now known as Swiss Life Select. So, classic network marketing and sales, you know, the people who suddenly contact you after graduation and want to sell you insurance via WhatsApp.
The warranty which you are talking about has been run out.
Yes, well, I'm not worried about the bloody warranty. Can't you understand that?
No.
But then he sets off for greater challenges. Benko is already a real doer at a young age. So while most of you are wondering which ETF total expense ratio is the best, he's already developing real estate projects worth hundreds of millions at the age of 24 and already has his first millions in his account at the age of 20. You can find out how he does it and how you can easily copy it in the following 4 steps. Step 1. Find a mentor and business partner. No, not this one. Not this one either. This one looks good. After school, Rene teams up with a friend of his family who has experience in loft conversions. Step 2. Find a niche and a rich heir. While converting the loft, which strictly speaking is already a niche, Rene meets a rich patrol station heir. The two get on so well that he gives Benko several millions for a new project, medical centers. These are quite new at the beginning of the 2000s and therefore a very lucrative niche. Note, he's not afraid to take on outside capital. For many people, even for me for a long time, taking outside investment was a big mental hurdle. Maybe you want to own your baby 100%. Maybe you're not certain you can deliver returns to your investors. Or maybe you're simply an anti-social beta. But if you overcome these doubts, in many cases, raising funding can be an express pathway to a higher net worth. Step 3. Make bigger and bigger deals that put you on the map. After the rather smaller deals for the real estate sector, Benko succeeds in buying a massive department store in Innsbruck and completely remodeling it. The new Tiroler Kaufhaus becomes a landmark for the entire city and an immediate success. And finally, step 4. Timing. The financial crisis is looming in 2007. Right then, Benko buys 2 old Viennese buildings in which there are banks that need money. He invests almost $500 million and converts one of the buildings into a luxury hotel and rents out the other one with stores, apartments and so on. Today, it is known as the Golden Quarter and one of the most expensive properties in the whole of Austria. At an age when the average normie is slipping into their first midlife crisis, Rene Benko has finally arrived here, the top of the mountain. According to Forbes, Benko's net worth is around 6 $6.1 billion in 2023. His real estate company, Signa Holding, owns more than 50 properties with a total area of over 3 million square meters in Austria, Germany, Italy, and Switzerland. In 2020, the value of Signa Holding's real estate portfolio amounts to around 17 billion euros, and the company employs more than 20,000 people across Europe through its portfolio. Here you could say, alrighty, that's enough. Now let me sit back, relax, and go skiing every day. But that's not how it works when you are operating in the upper echelons of billionaire net worth territory. Imagine for a second you have $6 billion. Your competitiveness and grit got you there. Maybe a bit of luck too. Now look over to your neighbor's villa. What do you see? Exactly, the guy has a net worth of 10 billion. So you better figure out deal structures that'll help you overtake this guy. And that's how it works. But Rene Benko has already spotted his next opportunity. And this one still gives the average German a stomach ache today.
Zum Beispiel bei den Beschäftigten von Galeria Karstadt Kaufhof. Sie lassen ein Jahr später ihre Wut an dieser Benko-Puppe aus. Karstadt und Kaufhof gehören Benkos Firmengruppe. Der Warenhauskonzern ist pleite. 4.000 Beschäftigte verlieren ihren Job.
Rene Benko has long been interested in the valuable department store real estate of the ailing German department store groups Karstadt and Galeria Kaufhof. He's waiting for a favorable opportunity to strike, similar to how I am waiting for you to apply to work with me. If you love business and finance and you would enjoy scripting stories like this one with me and my team, join us. I'm looking for people that see themselves in the media industry in the future, that want to build a media empire too. Ideally, if we work together, sky's the limit. Obviously, you can write stories for this or other channels we own, but you can also take more responsibility and start becoming a co-owner of channels. So if you want, feel free to apply using the link in the description below, brethren. In 2009, Karstadt goes bankrupt and Benko sees his chance. Benko first tries unsuccessfully to take over Galeria Kaufhof in 2009-2010. In 2012, he then buys 17 Karstadt stores for 1.1 billion euros, and thus real estate in prime locations. A deal that makes him famous throughout Germany, because these department stores are based in the best locations in German cities. In 2018, he merges Karstadt with Galeria Kaufhof to become the second largest department store chain in Europe and become the sole owner. He now has huge properties in prime locations in almost all major German cities. To modernize the department stores, Benko has them converted into small malls according to the shop-in-shop principle. This means that he has redesigned the existing shopping center and rebuilt it. He has enabled the tenants of the property to design and operate their own individual premises within the building. But he's also increasing rents and reducing service staff. Thousands of employees are losing their jobs as a result. The mob is on the rampage, and of course, Benko is not going to stop triggering the common plebs, particularly Picon. The group has repeatedly applied for the so-called protective shield procedure to facilitate restructuring. For the nerds among you, this is a special instrument in German insolvency law. In the first proceedings, creditors had already waived claims worth billions in order to ensure the survival of the department stores. The German government provides strong support on several occasions to prop up the ailing department store chain. A total of around 680 million euros of taxpayers' money is invested in the company from the Federal Economic Stabilization Fund, sometimes as a loan and sometimes as a silent partnership contribution. So once again, the taxpayer is left to foot the bill, and we learn an important lesson. Remember the 4 steps on how to get rich earlier? There's a 5th one. Once you reach certain net worth levels, in addition to taking money from investors, you can also take money from the government, which means, in essence, you're taking money from everyone. A real boss move. But why does Rene need government support in the first place? As a super capitalist, I would like to point out that department stores, regardless of Benko, are no longer the hottest business model. Some of you may have heard of Amazon. They are giving department stores a hard time. And because this is the case, Benko's Signa Signa Holding also pays out over 500 million euros in dividends to shareholders. Over 100 million of this is said to have gone to the shareholder Rene Benko himself. Nice. Rene soon realizes an important billionaire lesson. As a billionaire, no matter what you do, there'll always be various accusations against you by low-income earners. But luckily, there's a playbook on how to deal with these accusations. Rene leads a controversial takeover with his Signa Holding, that of the Austrian department store company Kika Liner. After the takeover, massive cost cuts, aka firing people, are made, which leads to criticism from the trade unions. In addition, he is criticized for his web of corporate constructs that spans several countries and legal forms. A low performer might call it tax evasion. I call it essential. We see several billionaire shareholders who are probably going to lose all their money soon, a holding structure with a private foundation, and sub-companies, partly based in Luxembourg. An absolute classic. But as long as everything is within the legal framework, there's nothing wrong with paying as little tax as possible. Is there? Why are people mad? Here's how you calm the plebs. Like any successful billionaire, you can simply buy good PR again if necessary. Since 2018, Benko has owned shares in Kronenzeitung and Kurier, Austria's most widely read daily newspaper. So if he's ever dissatisfied with his public image, it would not be a bad idea to somehow help and improve it with a couple of opinion pieces. But that's not all. In early 2019, Rene Benko, through his company Signa Holding, makes headlines by acquiring the iconic Chrysler Building in New York City. He partners with RFR Holding, led by A.B. Rosen. They purchase the Art Deco skyscraper for $150 million. The deal is a significant move for Benko. It showcases his ambition and puts him on the map of the global real estate market. Not only financially, he flies high. He marries a former model, lives in luxury properties, and seeks closeness to celebrities from culture, sports, and politics. He's now at the zenith of his career, and that's where one of the biggest personal downfalls in real estate starts. Because remember his net worth chart? Well, I didn't scroll up. Benko was always about connecting his projects and his self-image. The lifestyle made an impression. It was also deliberately chosen. A private chalet, a yacht you can rent for roughly 400k per week, which by the way should make you think. Even billionaires rent out their unused assets, and an oversized private jet. It was all part of this narrative of Europe's greatest real estate developer who could turn everything he touches into gold. Wealthy entrepreneurs, experienced managers, and corporate leaders, they all believed in the supposed golden boy Benko. Now, Roland Berger, management consultant and former employer of Kevin John, has 50 million euros at stake. Thorsten Töller, founder of Fressnapf, 150 million. And Klaus Michael Kühne, the richest German, is allegedly facing losses of up to 500 million euros by the end of the year.
You have many entities tied to Signa that could face insolvency. You have Signa going around the world looking for investors to really shore up liquidity here.
Rene Benko relied on lobbying, hiring ex-politicians to convince politicians in power of his projects. Most important for Benko was the lobbying of Austrian ex-chancellor Alfred Gusenbauer, who was also chairman of the supervisory board at Signa. Principally, one must say that in the real estate sector there are various risks. For example, approval risks that can make a project fail. And it is of course good if one can, through ex-politicians who have good connections to already or still active politicians, reduce these approval risks. Benko had the closest connections to political prominence in Austria. Sebastian Kurz, still Chancellor of the Alpine Republic at the time, took him to Dubai. The sheikhs opened their wallets to Benko and are now among his biggest creditors. Politicians, banks, investors, they were all fooled by Benko. Now comes the reckoning, closeout. How things will continue with Rene Benko will now be decided by the courts. So in essence, use the 5-step approach to getting rich. But don't buy assets that'll bankrupt your empire and you should be fine. Alright, I'll get to work executing now. This comment got me motivated. But first, let me return some videotapes.